nothing came available in dental school then, and so we just kind of found him, and he was great. So a good mentor. So I worked with him for like 6 months, and someone called and said, hey, there's this lady that's leaving. She has a practice, and it's on East Airport, which is Goodwood and East Airport across from the soccer fields, and she needs to just sell and go. Like, she doesn't even need to stay. Her husband was a professor at LSU, and he was already practicing or teaching in Mississippi, I think it was, and she would drive back and forth a few days a week. And so I went to talk to her, and I was like, no, this is great. I'll do it.
We would like to thank our title sponsor, B1 Bank. B1 Bank knows that entrepreneurs like you are always thinking one step ahead. So you need banking solutions that can keep up. It begins with lending. Does your business need working capital or financing for new equipment? How about a real estate or a construction loan? Good news, the B1 lending team is ready to learn your goals and help you find the best lending option available. Now let's talk about uncomplicating your daily cash flow. B1 offers a full array of treasury management services that let you collect funds faster, pay funds more efficiently, and access your information with powerful online tools. Most importantly, B1 understands the value of working with local nonprofits to build a stronger community. They believe in giving back through hands-on involvement with their B1 Community Outreach Program because it's simply the right thing to do. B1 Bank. Be uncomplicated. To learn more, visit b1bank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Hello, I'm Andrew McClendon, your host of the Next Entrepreneur Podcast. We're here today in the Propel Production Podcast Studio in Baton Rouge, and we welcome our guest, Dr. Aimee Russo Mounger. You are the owner of the Smile Spa.
Yes, I am.
Right? So welcome to the podcast. Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
good. You know, I really love doing research on you. And there's so much going on there, so I'm ready to kind of unpack it. But why don't we start with you telling us what the Smile Spa is today?
Today, the Smile Spa, we built a bigger building in 2020, right during COVID.
Yeah.
We started before COVID, actually, so kind of didn't know what was going to be happening when we did all this. The world was a whole lot different. It looked a whole lot different. But, you know, a larger space to have more doctors there. We have a separate suite that has more of the spa person, the esthetician. Now we have a weight loss person that comes into that area. Then we have another esthetician that's in the office also. And then we just do a lot of extra for our patients that will hopefully relax them, calm them down, let them have a better experience. So, you know, like the neck wraps and all the things. We started that at the old office, and we just continued it and made it better here. And so now it's very relaxing. They have massage chairs in the front for them to lay in when they're waiting, or some people come early for their appointment, or they stay late for their appointment so that they can get a massage after. I don't get to sit in them much. I wish I sat in them more often. They're nice chairs.
Yeah, so I read a description of that, you know, the massage chairs in your lobby, and you have a coffee bar.
We always have granola bars and stuff for them to eat if they're hungry. Sometimes they stay for a long time, and they get done, and they won't have eaten before, so then, you know, we give them some stuff after.
How many square feet is your building?
Oh, we like 5,800, I think.
Oh, wow.
We have
Okay, cool.
10 rooms, plus then the extra suite has like 4 rooms and its own little coffee bar and bathroom. And
Okay, so the esthetician that's like skin stuff?
Skin stuff, yes.
Okay. And that relates to the smile?
Right, exactly, because pretty much, you can do things other from neck down, but it is pretty much, you focus on the neck up. So people get their smile like they want it, and then sometimes they'll I want my lips to look better, or, you know, and I'll do some Botox, I'll do filler. We do those there too, just to enhance the smile. Or some people just feel like they are just getting older and everything's drab, or those, especially after COVID, everybody felt like they were just kind of needing an uplift. And so there's lots of skin things you can do, lasers and facial hair removal, you know, all of it to kind of just make everything go together.
Oh, wow.
Better.
And so the weight loss thing.
That's kind of the newest and greatest thing that's around. So we have Dr. Causey that comes in, and he just checks and does like a weight assessment on them, and if they're able to do it and can, they have the Ozempic shot, which is a semaglutide. that is it's for it was found for diabetics originally, and they figured out that it makes people lose weight. And so, I mean, it's kind of the newest craze around here for sure. I don't know how it is around the country. I think it has kind of hit a high, because for a while we were out of it and couldn't even get some of it. So, and it's healthy, and it's, treating people. And I think Louisiana is like one of the fattest people in the country.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
hate to say it that way, but like we're the heaviest people. We just have great food. So, it helps people to get healthier and still be able to, unfortunately, eat some of the bad stuff.
So it started with teeth. You went to school. Well, let's just back it up a little bit before that. So you're from New Roads?
New Roads. Mm-hmm.
And you went all the way through high school there?
I did. Both of our high schools there. We had a Catholic and a private high school. Both were from kindergarten to 12th grade, which we don't get much here, but, we only have one or two in Baton Rouge like that. So there were a few people that I went to school with from kindergarten to 12th grade.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So small town, what was small town life like?
Small town life. It was small. Yeah. It was small. It was great, though. I mean, we had a lot of fun. I cheered and danced all through high school, a lot of friends, and, you didn't do a whole lot of other things, like just kind of driving around. Sonic was a big deal. Having a little party at your house or something was a big deal. We went to the fire station for one of my dance parties that I had. I mean, just really just hometown good stuff. Be able to ride your bike up and down the street to go to the bakery.
Yeah, that's cool. So you were a dancer, and you kind of wanted to do that.
I did. That's what I thought was going to be my career.
And I read that you got a scholarship or something to New York.
Did. I between my junior and senior year, I did a whole tour with this one company, and so I was gone for the whole summer and toured all around and danced.
Oh wow!
And then when I got back, I guess around Christmas time, I think we went to a convention, and then I won a TAP scholarship for Henry Letang is his name, and who since passed away. But Savian Glover and Gregory Hines, they were all his teacher, and so I was really excited. So I thought, this is it. I didn't even want to take the ACT. I was like, I'm done. I am going to New York, and I'm just staying there. And I don't know how my parents even let me leave at 18 years old, because I graduated at 17. So I did. I had to play. I had to. No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I played dot to dot on the ACT, like literally like this, because I was like, this is so dumb. I mean, I could just.
You had it figured out.
Oh, you know it. Yeah. So, and now when my kids do these things to me, I'm like, oof. Coming back to haunt me. But yeah, I really seriously thought that was going to be my life goal, and that was going to be it, and I wasn't going to go to college. And
so how did you get on the dentistry path? I
went to New York, did all my stuff. It gets really cold in New York. So around the end of September, October, I was coming home, or maybe it was through October, coming home for the holidays. I was couch hopping before that, and so it was easier. But I had to go look for apartments and all this, and the apartment was about as big as this table, right. And that's everything included. You don't even get a kitchen, that's just lucky if you get a bathroom and bed together. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. It's probably what I can afford right here. I'm gonna have to get a job as a waitress. All these kind of things were gonna happen, I was still excited about it, sure. But just a little bit more taken aback, like, ooh, this is gonna be different. So I came home, and my dad is one of 6, 3 girls, 3 boys. All 3 girls are teachers. One's a CPA, but taught too. And then the other 2 were teachers, and they kind of sat me down, and his sister-in-laws as well sat down, and they're like, why don't you just try school? I'm like, you can go to school while it's cold, and then you can go back to New York when it gets a little warmer. I don't know. I think God was just talking straight through them, because I don't know what you're talking about. So I ended up saying, okay, I'll think about it. I looked into some stuff, and I said, well, if I go, I'll go to New Orleans, because that way I can dance. There's some companies there that I can dance for. And then I ended up there at UNO, of all things, and went there. I just picked up a book, because I didn't want to go without having a plan, right. Even though the plan was still not the plan I thought I was really going to do. Right. But I'll just tell you I'm going to have this plan, right. Even if it's 2 plans. So I picked up. You go to the bookstore, and you pick up the book that has all of the degrees in it, right? It's not like you can go now and just Google it or whatever. Right, yeah. So I'm just scanning through it, and I get to medical. And I was always more like a science brain. My dad's a pharmacist, and I think I'm a lot like him. So I went through all those, and I was like, oh, medical's kind of good. I like that. I like helping people. I think I would like that. And I went through, and I saw dentistry and orthodontist. And I was like, I love my orthodontist. He's amazing. maybe I'll just pick this one. Let's pick this one. Okay, biology. No joke. My now husband was with me too at the same time. And now I can see that it was God's way of just pushing me in the right direction. But, and I was fighting it for the whole time thinking that this was my plan. Well, my plan's not as good as his plan. Finally, he got me in the right direction and just kind of gave me a little nudge, and I was able to.
So you did well in school?
I did do well in school. I had one really bad semester because I was not happy, and UNO was awful. And then I had to work my way up, and I think that gave me a way to realize that what I had in New Roads was really easy. I didn't have to study a whole lot in New Roads and get good grades. And you get to college and it's a whole different ball game. And so I had to learn how to study. There's a lot of classes that I did not ever taken before, and got to dental school with them. Like, I had this in high school, like biochemistry. I'm like, New Roads does not have biochemistry. Sorry, or tennis. So there's a lot of different things, that you had to learn. So I really say it's pretty amazing that from where we came from in New Roads, and not to say anything bad about that, it was just they didn't give you tons of background in a lot of these things. I had to learn it.
So how long is that education to become a dentist?
You normally have to have a bachelor's in science so it's a 4-year degree in college, and then 4 years in dental school. And
so you went to the LSU School of Dentistry. Where is that, on 610?
It's right off of 610, yeah.
Yeah. Now, is that still the
It is.
School? Okay.
Yeah. Scary thought, but yeah.
So you go through dental school. At some point, you decided, I'm going to be a dentist, right?
Yeah. Once I went to college, I was I started dancing in New Orleans with a company. Then there was a arena football team that came to New Orleans at one point. I think they stayed like 2 years, maybe just a year. Danced on their dance team thing that was there with them. So I think I just kind of got into the fun of it, college is not so bad. And then also I'm doing all these things that I like too. And then I don't even know how the paths, that New York wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just happened.
Yeah, New Orleans has that way, right?
Maybe so. That's what it was.
So you got out of dental school and you did what?
I came back to Baton Rouge, and my parents, everybody's still in New Roads at the time. I worked for a guy in Denham Springs, and he had a big practice, super guy. And I didn't really know where I wanted to land around Baton Rouge. Is it just in Baton Rouge? I kind of always went to the dentist over on like Goodwood and that whole area. We used to call it Doctor's Row back in the days, where it was behind Old Women's Hospital. And so that, in my mind, that's where I thought I wanted to be. But nothing came available in dental school then, and so we just kind of found him, and he was great. So a good mentor. So I worked with him for about 6 months, and someone called and said, hey, there's this lady that's leaving. She has a practice, and it's on East Airport, which is Goodwood and East Airport across from the soccer fields, and she needs to just sell and go. Like, she doesn't even need to stay. Her husband was a professor at LSU, and he was already practicing or teaching in Mississippi, I think it was, and she would drive back and forth a few days a week. And so I went to talk to her, and I was like, no, this is great. I'll do it. So that was it.
So you're 6 months out of dental school and you buy a practice?
Yeah, January 19th, 1999 was when I started my first practice.
That's amazing. Okay, so what was that initial experience like? You develop the smile spa and you do all these amazing things you started talking about, but your initial getting into business, were you trying to do something radically different then initially, or did you grow into that?
I think I grew into it. I don't think I knew initially. And I saw it right from the beginning in the practice that I was in, because he had a really large practice, and there was a lot of different personalities with the girls that worked there as well as the dentists that were there. And so you could kind of feel out like what people gravitate to and what they're like. You can kind of say like, ooh, I don't want to do that. So I started just, I guess, being more observant of how people react to this whole profession.
The patients.
And the patients, the patients. So that's whenever I moved into this office, same thing. It's a small, it was tiny. We had one bathroom for everybody, and then a dark room for x-rays, and 2 rooms. And I was pregnant for my first son there in 2020. Is that right? No, 2000. He was 2002. I can't think of when he was born. January 2002. Yeah. So I was only not pregnant for a little bit when I was there. Yeah. During 9/11, we were in that building. Like the whole time then, there was a lot of things that kind of happened during there, and people started getting kind of like they are now, just extra fearful about certain things. And so that's just adds insult to injury when you have to go to the dentist.
So people, there are a lot of people that have struggles going to the dentist.
For sure.
And you had picked up on that early on, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's really people that are really
Legit,
fearful.
like PTSD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are just, some things have happened really bad to them in the dentist. And so that's what they go back to sometimes all the way from childhood. You know, the dentist was really rough with them, or there's a thing called hand over mouth. And we actually learned it in school. You really put your hand over their mouth and their nose. So if they don't breathe, they'll finally shut up. So that's like old school, just, you know, the way
You're a kid and the dentist
Yeah.
shuts you up.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really scary for people.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So, and some people can get over things like that, and there's some people that just can't and follows them. You know, maybe they had another different experience and not a good one as the next time came around. So I really started seeing a lot more of that. Some people look great, love the dentist. Some people come in and it's just, I mean, they're in cold sweat and they're just really having a hard time. So between the first, I guess, you know, 3 or 4 years, we started thinking about, like, what can we do to make these people more comfortable? How can we make this a better experience? And then not until I moved to the second building in 2004, I said, okay, when we get here, let's make it like this. And let's, you know, have more spots. Let's put the TVs up, headphones, let them be able to, like, kind of zone out, big windows where they can look out. Something to kind of help them, just really not think about so much about the anxiety and what's happening.
Yeah.
Because if I can get them to calm down and let me work on them, they'll realize that it'll be fine. You know,
Right.
we're able to convert a lot of people, but they've got to be able to let us work on them to convert them, you know, to
Yeah.
not be so scared anymore.
So you put a lot of energy into this. So you've always been about continuing education and learning. And I think I read you said something, or maybe I heard on one of your podcasts.
You're not learning, you're dying.
Yeah. If you're not learning or growing, you're dying.
That's it. We've got to go that direction. You can't go backwards.
Yeah. So, but, you know, when you think about some dentists, they're there for the health of your teeth. I mean, that's kind of how it
It's how it starts,
seems.
right?
And you are as well, but you seem to make it more about the healthy smile and what that does. Talk about that. There's
That when I was younger, I mean, I always smiled a lot, and I guess I didn't know it was going to be my job. But people used to say, "I just love your smile." And that it would make people happy to see a smile. And I always thought, well, that's kind of cool. You know, why does not everybody smile? And then not till I started seeing patients and seeing why they really weren't smiling. They're not unhappy. They're happy with their teeth. They're not unhappy people. You know, it's not like just because I was lucky enough that my parents had got braces and God gave me a good set of teeth and we straightened them and there you go, I'm fine. So everybody could do the same thing. Everybody wants to smile, and it's always a great thing when you meet somebody to smile at them and they make them happy and feel more comfortable when you're smiling than if you're not. And so I just wanted people to be able to do those things and not be fearful to get what they want. You know, be able to and be out of pain. Of course, that's the main objective. But people need to be able to be happy and smile and not feel self-conscious about something that's the first place. Between the eyes and the mouth are the first places that you usually look at somebody. First thing you see.
Yeah, you wrote something like your practice is about creating a beautiful smile that's functional and healthy. What do you mean by the healthy part?
So you can look great on the front, and there be things dying back here. And then there's also, you know, everything that goes into your mouth goes into all of your digestive system. So anything you're putting in is also washing in. So if there's bacteria in your mouth, if you're not getting cleaned enough, if you're not getting your cleanings done at all because you don't like getting cleaned, if there's cavity, that's a bacteria. All of it's bacterial related. And so all that bacteria, once you take a drink of something, washes into your system. So like if you have periodontal disease, which is gum disease, it can cause miscarriages. It's related to heart disease. It's got a lot of things that it's not, you know, you don't want to keep it, you know, in your mouth. It's not a good thing to stay.
So you do Mastermind, right?
Yes.
My wife does that.
Yeah.
And she's been doing it for a very long time. But describe to us what Mastermind is and how it relates to your practice.
Oh, it's amazing. I love it. It's a group. This one MBA guy, he's not even a dentist, has gotten these groups together. He's a consultant, but at the same time, the basis of our getting together is that we all just can share and we can talk about the things that we're struggling with, and the things that we're starting and are doing, or things we want to get rid of, and everybody else chimes in. So you're in the same profession, but we all have different practices. And every state, every city is a different practice and a different way of practicing. So it has really been helpful. It's almost better than a CE course for me, because you can get so much out of it from all these people if you truly just listen to what they have to say. And you get up, it's called the hot seat. So you get up on the hot seat to ask all your questions of everybody or to talk to people. But the thing is, when somebody else is on the hot seat, you're taking more notes than you're getting back from when you're on the hot seat. Do you know what I mean? Like you're getting more from them than you're giving out. So it's always really nice.
And so how frequently do y'all do those calls?
Every quarter. We do them 4 times a year.
Okay. And how many people are in those groups?
For 3 times a year, we have about 10 to 12 dentists each time. But then when we meet up in September, it's everybody. So there's like 100 dentists.
Oh, my goodness. And
your spouse can come. Your kids, there's one that the kids come to in June, and they talk to them about wealth building and investing and, what they want to do for their life. And, all the kids are in different ages.
Okay, so when you got into your second building, that's when you started the Smile Spa? That's when the taking care of your patients and offering the extra things to make them comfortable you were talking about.
Yeah.
Right? That's the official start of the Smile Spa.
That's when we named it the Smile Spa and started doing, we had the blankets, we had the TVs. It was the old big TVs in the corner, some headsets. We would do some neck wraps. One time I actually had a massage therapist there, which was amazing. She was assistant/massage therapist. I have not found that unicorn again yet. Her name was Aimee. She was wonderful. But so she would do some like hand massages while I'm working on them. And the patients love that. It was really
goodness.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
really
very
nice.
Cool. So did you get inspiration from that, from other practices, other parts of the country or anything?
There was a few that were starting in 2004 in California. There was some med spas. They would call them like med spas or dental spas. And there were like 2, I think, that had started. And the guy that helped me design the building, he was the one, we were talking to him about it. And he's like, wait, I think I saw one of these. And so we looked it up together and we were like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I want to do. So we found one person that had started it in California before us.
So now you're in your third building.
Third building.
Walk us through a little bit, if you can, to the extent that you can, like from the front lobby in. We talked about the massage chairs and the coffee bar and the massage. Can you tell us about the rest of the space?
Yeah, so you walk in, you'll see these really cool, almost like a double chair, but it's just like a big, I didn't know people were going to love them so much, but it's like it hugs you. It kind of wraps around. They feel like they're like in their little cocoon, and I'll see people just sitting there and reading their books or the magazines and kind of sitting there. And then you can walk through. There's some single chairs. There's also the 2 big massage chairs. And then up front we have a big TV where they can see stuff. We'll have pictures of our staff and things just rolling through.
Oh, yeah.
And the coffee. And we have a little refrigerator with water, an ice maker, and then the snacks. So it's kind of like a snack coffee bar thing there. And then, of course, where the receptionist sits, we've got like a shiny tile all across the front, and then the Smile Spa lit up in the back, and everything's stainless. My husband welds, and so he makes a lot of stainless stuff. So he made us a lot of those signs, and it's just kind of fun and relaxing and peaceful, but then also a little bit of a spicy pizzazz, kind of fun at the same time.
So how many chairs do you have?
Just in the waiting room?
No,
10
operatories.
Yeah. So, and actually I just gave one to an esthetician, so we have 9 operatories altogether.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so dental chairs.
And now how many dentists do you have?
1.5. So he comes 2 days a week.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
So we can always take some more. We need to find another dentist.
So you do preventive dentistry.
Mm-hmm. Hygienists that do that.
Which is like the teeth cleaning and...
Yep. We have a CBCT, which is an x-ray that goes all the way around your head. So we can see all the bone and the sleep and your nasal cavity, your sinus cavity, kind of how this is working, and then your throat as well, to see if we need to do any kind of sleep appliance. If you feel like you're snoring or, are having trouble sleeping, having trouble breathing, then we can usually diagnose those things. Or I say diagnose. We can look at them and say that you would benefit from an appliance. And usually most people, I know my husband benefits from it. I benefit from him having a sleep appliance. He'll be so happy that I said that.
So that's an appliance to help with sleep apnea type patients. Yeah. And how does that work? I just got a CPAP machine, and I love it.
Do you?
I love it because I sleep really well.
Right,
I sleep really well.
Exactly. So the normal problem with sleep apnea is that you just are not breathing, so the tongue's falling back. A lot of times our our mouths over time will go in. So we get some narrowing of the jaws, and that's so our tongue's not fitting in that space anymore, so it falls back. So you're blocking off your airway. What the CPAP does is it's pushing that oxygen in. So it's going to get in some kind of way. It's going in nasally or it's going in your mouth. Whereas with and some people have to have the CPAP because they're just too bad. Their apnea is too bad. But with this, the appliance just pulls your jaw forward, which pulls the tongue forward, and now you have this open airway space. So air can get through the nose and get through the mouth. So if you're not a severe case, you're just kind of mild to moderate apnea cases, then you can easily just use an appliance, which looks a lot better. It's not great, but it's not, rolling around with all the wires and stuff.
And then, of course, you do the general dentistry. Which is all the procedures.
Yeah, we don't use any silver. We haven't used silver since we moved to the second office. I refuse to do that.
On cavities and stuff
Yes, on
like
fillings. So we have all white fillings. We make our crowns in the office. So all of our crowns are made in-house. So 45 minutes and then the crown's ready. So they get permanent. We walk out with permanent crowns. There's a few exceptions, but most of the time we can make our crowns in our office.
And then cosmetic dentistry. And what is that?
Anything cosmetic. So we can do same thing, crowns if we need to, veneers, lumineers. So veneers with a V, we have to cut the tooth a little bit, and a luminaire with an L is you just like a fake fingernail, just goes over the top, and you cement those on, and they're really pretty. So
and they last a long time.
They last, yep. I think we started our first case in 2005, 15 years ago. My mom was 50 when she got hers. She was my guinea pig. She just turned 75. She's not like me saying that either. And she still has them on. They still look good. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So in between sleep apnea, the Invisalign is like, that's that clear thing you snap in your mouth and it aligns you. It's like orthodontics for dummies kind of thing.
Kind of, I guess, yeah. Well, it's for people who are maybe busy adults that can't deal with the brackets, for whatever reason it is. And this is something that comes in and out. So you can take it out if you have a business meeting, or you can take it out if you're talking in public. And the more you take it out, of course, then the more you have to wear it because, but we get so many. So we design, along with the Align technology, we design it on our computer what we want the mouth to look like. A lot of times I'm always widening the smile for that exact reason, widening that area on adults because we need to have more space for the tongue. And sometimes that can alleviate, if they're really mild sleep apnea, it can alleviate some of that sleep apnea just by widening their jaw. So we can do that with them. Then they get so many trays. We give them like maybe 4 to 6 trays. Sometimes if it's a really busy person, I will give them, 2-3 months of trays and like call me or send me a picture if you feel like something's wrong. But they change them out either every 4 days or every 7 days.
Oh, wow.
On their own. So you change them out.
And so I when I think of, I would see commercials on TV for the Invisalign type products, and I'm like, that's not good for orthodontists. Like, I mean, I was thinking years and years ago when it first started coming out, I was like, man.
They got on the bandwagon, though. A lot of orthodontists do it. A lot of the younger orthodontists definitely do it. We have quite a few in Baton Rouge that do Invisalign. Yeah.
But as a dentist, you're doing it as well.
Yep. Dentists can do it as well.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay. So tell me how you got to a point where you added an how do you say that word?
Esthetician.
Esthetician.
Yeah. That was actually at that second office. I had a friend of mine call and say, I have this girl I want you to meet or I want you to talk to. And I was like, no, yeah, I'll call her. And I just kept putting it off, thinking, where am I going to put this person? And we're busting at the seams. It was 4 rooms at the time. So now we have these 10 rooms. It was 4 rooms, and I had a private office and a private bathroom, which was a big deal because the first building was 1 bathroom for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Everybody. A bunch of girls and patients is not fun. So the second time we built a building, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put me a private bathroom in my office, and then we have another bathroom for the staff and the people. So she tells me this, and over I was just like, I'm not calling this girl. I don't know why I'm not going to do it. So then finally, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll call. If I told you I'm going to call, I'm going to call. I call her up. We start talking, and it's like, wow, this would be perfect for our office. But I have nowhere to put you. So let me just think about what I'm going to do. And the very next day, I drove up to my office, and I always parked in front. There's a big window at this office, and that was my personal office. And I drove up, and I hear God say, well, look, you don't need this. You don't need to have an office. And I was like, no, but I love my office and my bathroom. And so sure enough, I was like, okay, I'll give it up. And that's where we put her, and that's how it started. And so she used that space because she needed the restroom. I mean, it was perfect, really. For her. So that's where we put her. That's how it started. And that's not, I don't think no dentist in Baton Rouge had an esthetician at the time. I don't know of a dentist that does now. But
yeah, you do so much in your practice. It's really amazing. And your website is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
It really is informative. It's deep. It's really modern looking, and it's really cool.
Oh, well, good. I'll let them know.
So how much energy did you have to put into creating that?
We did a good bit. I had a great company, Golden Proportions, out of Nashville. She was amazing, but it was a lot of like, I'm going to do the writing. You write this up for me, do this for me. We had a whole photo shoot with I Wonder at my house with all the staff and all the things. And so, yeah, it was expensive, and it was, it was a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, but
a whole year.
I have to believe that it's really used. Like if people want to understand what your business is about,
that's what we want it to
because you do so many different things than what I think of a
regular dentist.
Regular dentist would do. They have to learn about it, and that's a great place to learn about all the different things. It's really well presented. Excellent job on that.
Awesome, thank you.
So you also have a podcast.
I did just start a podcast, yes.
And I listened to your episodes, and it's very good. Nice and short and concise, but you tell good stories on there about your practice and how you got there. And so have you had fun doing that?
I have had fun.
Yeah.
It's gotten funner, if I can say it that way, every time, and not as stressful. At first, it's like really hard to just get started.
Yeah.
And the subjects and things are just like having to think about. Now I can see myself, I'll go places and I'll be like, oh, that'd be good for one of my podcasts. But I wasn't thinking that way at first. It was
right.
So it would get stressful. Like I have to have one by Wednesday. What am I going to talk about? So it's gotten easier.
So how are you doing your marketing? You using social media?
I do use social media.
And how is that working for you?
It works pretty good. We have a girl in the office that does it. She'll post, things about the office and the things that go on at the office. It's almost just like kind of what's happening now, what's happening on a daily basis. But yeah, I think it works pretty good.
I mean, is that your main form of marketing?
I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. We do some mailers, but not like a mail out thing. More like we send out little cards to some people for birthdays and things like that. But that's usually within our patients. And we have a little care to share card. That's really great. We give to our patients to give to like friends and family to get a discount if they come in.
So when you think about technology in the dentist practice today versus when you started in business, how has that changed?
Oh, yeah, gosh, a lot has changed. Yeah, like I barely have a website at that point,
Yeah.
There was no social media. We did the yellow pages. You would do the yellow pages and a few little things. I think I was the first person in Baton Rouge to do a commercial as a dentist. I thought I was going to get run out of town. They're like, dentists don't do commercials. And now you can't. I mean, I can't do a commercial now because I can't afford to keep up with some of these DSO people that do the big commercials.
Yeah, and then there's big billboards. If you're in Dallas, sexy smile or whatever. And so there are, you said DSO, that is what?
It's the big groups where they have a bunch of different people. So
these private
massive
equity guys come and they roll up a bunch of practices and they reduce the back of house expenses and increase their marketing and things like that.
Yeah, so they have all this money backing them compared to a private practice.
Then they bundle them up, get them big enough, and flip them.
Probably so.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
it's not a bad idea.
That's your competition?
That's kind of our competition. Yeah, for private practices these days, that's really our competition. And so I know that a lot of the older guys, and you'll talk to people, and they're like, we want to stand our ground, and we're going to stay private practice. And compared to medicine, we've done a really good job. We've got some great, people in Congress, and like they go and they lobby for us a lot to say that we want to stay more private practices and not go this big thing. I don't know. I don't want to say for sure, but I'm on the fence of thinking that we may have to just give in at some point, just because they have so much.
So on the technology question, I was thinking too about like your equipment.
Oh gosh.
And how that's improved. But sometimes you think you go into a dentist's office, and they have the same equipment from when they started 30 years later.
Well, in that first building, I bet we did, because that was the equipment. I bought the practice itself, and I was renting the building, and she left, all of her equipment. She didn't need to take any of that with her. And there was an old guy, Dr. Peak. I never met him. He had passed away before I even started practicing there, and he bought that. I don't know what year he bought that stuff. So it was like, how long has this been here? One chair barely worked, so we had really just 2 chairs that worked really well. Yeah. But it's expensive, so sometimes you get to where you just, gosh, I don't want to, redo this again. So.
Well, you talked about the X-ray machine that do your neck and that's an expensive piece of equipment.
Expensive piece of equipment, yeah.
Yeah.
It is a lot. The machines that make the crowns are kind of stupid expensive too.
So, but you keep up with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we just have to. I think it's just, for one thing, it's growing, like we talked about. You can't just get stagnant, because nobody's going to really want to, some young person's not going to come in and practice with you if you're still doing the old ways of practicing. They're learning all this stuff in dental school now. They're learning CBCT x-rays, and they're learning how to do their crowns in-house with the CERAC machines and all of the digital CAD cams and stuff.
Now, are you doing online scheduling?
We do. We can do online scheduling. Mm-hmm.
So the patient picks...
Mm-hmm. There's certain spots that they can go in and put what they want and where, and they can do, And I wish people would take more advantage of it, because, I love that for myself, because during the work day, it's so hard to get on the phone, and by the time I get off work, get home, like, I got to make that appointment, they're closed, So I love if I could just go on and make my own appointment. So I think it'll come around. Same thing with like virtual appointments. I would love to do more virtual appointments where we do a video call. There's so much I can just tell you by you're not having to come into the office.
Like telemed type video calls.
Exactly. So I think it'll come around.
Yeah. Well, I do that with my, general practitioner doctor.
Yeah.
And it works well.
I know. So nice.
So you have an Amazon page where you sell products?
We just recommend products. So there's stuff that we normally would tell the patient to go get, and we're writing it down on a card. And now we're just like, just go look at this page. Everything that we like to tell you that you need, this rinse or this toothbrush or whatever, is on there. So it's just easier for them to kind of pick and choose.
Okay, so it's not
not selling on Amazon.
You're not selling. You're just making.
That's a good idea, though.
Yeah. Well, that's how I interpret it.
That would be so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be. There's something else you have to do besides that. Just sell on Amazon.
I was looking for these words earlier about health, beauty, and wellness when I was talking about your practice, and it's more than the teeth, right?
Yeah.
And so wellness is a big subject. That's almost endless on what that includes. But you're gradually expanding in your practice how wellness impacts your patients.
Yeah, and I think so, because they say that your patients are the same age. They're around the same age as you, and so they kind of grow with you. And so we do get some young patients too, and we get a lot of variety. But if you look at the majority of your patients, they're within a 10-year frame of what the doctor's age is. And so I think maybe just from me being, crossing that line, we have to take care of our whole body. We can't I've always been involved, like as a dancer, you just always been involved in wellness and making sure that we're healthy, and we try to teach our kids to be healthy. And so my husband is too, which is great. But I think it has come all the way around to work, where I can't just treat your mouth if you look sickly, if something's wrong. Like, I'll talk to them and find out what's going on, look at their medical history. What are you taking, and why are you taking this, and why are you taking this every day? And maybe talk to your doctor about it. I mean, I'm not trying to jump or step on anybody's toes about medical stuff, but people that come in, I say we're kind of like psychiatrists. They come in with a problem and they just spill it all to either me or the hygienist, and then we end up talking about it. So, but I like that. I just give them my opinion and do what you will with it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So tell me about your loyalty plan.
We have a membership plan with quite a few things. So they can just pay a membership and you get all of these discounts and your cleanings for free. Even if you have gum disease, there's one for that. There's one for cosmetic stuff. I'd love to do one.
Is this for people who don't have insurance?
It's
a dental insurance?
Most people use it that don't have dental insurance.
I see.
But you can use it either way. It's better than dental insurance. Dental insurance doesn't really pay a whole lot.
I noticed on your website there's several different packages from $40 a month on up. And so that just gets someone in the groove of saying, that's in my budget.
Yeah.
$40 a month, and I'm going to have my teeth taken care of.
Absolutely.
How's that program working?
It works great. People love it. You know, it's hard to convert someone who has insurance, and I get it. And I tell people, if your employer or your husband's employer pays for your insurance plan, then absolutely take advantage of that. You know, you don't want to
Sure.
lose money. Just realize that if you have a lot of work to do, you only have $1,000. You know, there's very few. You know, like FedEx is great, and Exxon, two best places that work to get a good plan. Other than that, you're going to get just a minimum amount of money that they're going to put towards you, and the rest of it, it's really more like a preventive plan. Insurance is more for a preventive plan. You're going to get all your cleanings for free, and then just think of that, and that's it, because it's not going to help you with a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah. So that $1,000 deductible, hasn't that been like the same deductible
1972, and I remember that because that's the year I was born.
And that hasn't changed. That's amazing.
Like there's, like I say, one or two of them. When I see one that's like $5,000. And even $5,000, it's not much. Because unfortunately, it's so expensive, you know. And it's not us doing the pricing; it's the supply. It's the supply chain that's making the pricing. We don't get to.
Yeah.
We only price based on what it costs us to do business, and it's really just crazy expensive, like everything else.
It seems to me what you're doing is building a really strong culture. You're redefining how the dental business is done. You're building a staff to support that, a lot of continuing education, bringing on new services. And I mean, the stuff y'all do is really quite amazing. And it seems to me that once you've figured that out, that you could scale that. You could have another location, maybe in another city, and then potentially grow beyond that. Do you have any desires for that?
We thought when we were younger, we thought about that, having a few smile spas or smile spa in different locations. Mm-hmm. It's a lot to run. Right. That's just me, you know. With a partner or something, I think it would be a lot easier. Right. And there's definitely ways to do it, for sure. You know, we'd have to get this one, like a dentist in here, and then you kind of move around and do it. We talked about making just a plan, like you just a whole binder, and you just this is the smile spa way, and sell the binder as just this is the way you do it,
like a franchise,
kind of franchise-ish. Yeah. Do it like this and run your business this way, and this is how the smile spa runs, which is easier than opening brick and mortars. You know, that's a lot, you know, cost wise, and having to deal with trying to find dentists. It's hard to find dentists now that want to work or own. They want to work, millennial dentists, but they don't want to work as hard as we worked or still work, and they want to just take their check and go. So they don't want a lot of that, you know, hard. They don't want to do the business part of it. They want the easy, just like, let me just come into the dentistry, which I get it. It gets tough when you have to deal with employees and the bills and the stuff, all the business part of it. So I think a lot of them now know they can just go to these big DSO places and they can just go there, work, and then leave. So it's hard to find dentists that want to own a practice.
That's fascinating.
It stinks, actually.
So, yeah. I'm just curious, what percentage do you think want to do that, you know?
Own a practice or not own?
Either way.
I think millennial, we might get 10%. I could be wrong. To me, it seems like around 10% of people, younger dentists, just want to.
So that bodes
10%.
Well for the DSO guys.
Right. Well, they give them like incentives and bonuses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That, you know, private practice can't really afford.
Yeah.
But you got to you're selling your soul to the devil. You're working hard. They're working like longer hours. They don't get to set their schedules, but they don't know the difference because they never work in a private practice.
Yeah.
So, you know, everything is a give and take in the
Right.
world. So own a business, great, you're the owner. Then you have the hard parts of that business. But that's what life's about. You know, if it's all easy, there's something wrong there.
But if you're not growing, you're dying.
Absolutely. You got it.
I'm going to try to talk you into growing your business.
I'm all for it. I can do it.
Okay, so let's talk about the Smile Spa at Sea.
Yes.
What in the world is that?
So in 2021, we were in St. Thomas to pick up my youngest son and talking to some indigenous people from there, family from there. We had dinner with them and just talking about how hard it is to get anything on. It's a beautiful island, but do you have to go to Miami to get anything really done there? There's not a lot of like really good help. So if you want to have any cosmetic services done, or maybe they do just the basics. And so she was trying to talk me into actually moving there. She said, just come move here and work here. I'm like, I don't think it's going to work that way.
She wanted to smile like yours.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
she was adorable. So they, I think, kind of put this thing in my head, and then also I kind of just felt like I heard guys say, like, you can bring your business to the Caribbean. Just bring your business to these islands, and just figure out how to do it. I love boating, and island people. I love having compassion just for people who need help. We've done mission trips, and my youngest one's always on a mission trip these days, it sounds like. But that would be such a blessing, I feel like, to be able to give people that can't have it whatever they need, on a higher little level. It may not be the level that we do here, but even midway from where they're getting is still going to be a huge difference.
Okay, so you're in St. Thomas, you have this conversation with this family.
In 2021.
And it sounded, that planted the seed, right?
That planted the seed.
So what happened next?
Oh, I just sat on it. I was like, I can't do this. I have kids. One was still in high school. And so I just was like, we have a lot going on. It'll happen. It'll happen when I retire, probably. That's when it'll happen.
Yeah.
And then we went on a mission trip to Africa, not last summer, but the summer before. And kind of just saw how that whole mission thing worked. We got to be really good friends with the guy who starts the missions. And it's, I guess, oh, we might want to talk about this a little bit sooner. My husband and I were talking about it a lot, but we just didn't do anything with it. And then our pastor this past year started off saying, we have a heart for missions in the Caribbean. And my husband and I were sitting there and we just looked at each other like, what? Who told him? And so we were like, well, that's kind of crazy. Why is he even saying that? So we had dinner with him. We told him, and he was like, well, I don't know why we said it, but we're there. So just follow the path. And so we've been praying about it, and things have just kind of fallen into place. Of course, the more it falls into place, the more things
complex
unravel. Yeah. So it's been interesting.
So you found a boat? We
found a boat, and we couldn't afford it on our own. And so we were like, no, sorry, we love this boat. We love your boat. And we knew the guy, the owner. And he's like, no, I love your mission. I want you to have this boat. We're like, we can't afford this boat. We're not going to do it on our own, perfect boat for what we want, but we just can't do it. And so he says, no, just lease it from me, and y'all just pay me monthly until you can get funding for it and, get up and running and all these kind of things. Well, we thought 6 months was enough time, but that was in July. Our 6 months is up in January, and I was like, that's coming around fast, really fast. So we'll just have to kind of see where God leads it, if it is, it is.
So your plan is to go from island to island?
Yes, yeah. I think our initial plan right now looks like Cuba for sure. I mean, we'd love to do Mexico, Venezuela, Guatemala, all those areas there, because we have a contact that has already planted churches there. So we could go to those churches and on those islands and help those people. I think for the first time, though, I don't want to make a long trek like that, have to come back up. I just think going on the north side of Cuba would be our ideal, and then maybe just hitting the Bahamas, making like a smaller round, just like first trek around the world. Yeah, it's our first one, just to get people there. But the biggest thing is just going to be having dentists that just sign up, to come. They come for a week with their team, with their family, and treat the patients, whoever needs to be treated, however it can be treated. That's
fantastic. So that's the Smile Spa at Sea?
Smile Spa at Sea, yep.
So
I'll have to have some blankets and a neck wrap. And I don't know, it might be kind of hot for a neck wrap. I'll have a cold wrap. I'll do an ice pack and all those things.
So I think on one of your podcasts you talked about a really influential book that you had read, The Gift of Influence.
Yes.
And it seemed like it really was impactful to you.
It was very impactful.
Tell us about that.
That came from this last trip in September, and we went with our Mastermind group, and he gave us the book. And a lot of times what I'll do is I have a hard time reading textbooks because I'm always going. So I find it on Audible, and I'll just listen to it all the way to work and back. It takes about 30 minutes to get to work. So that's every day I can get through it. Well, this one I ended up starting to read because it was my birthday weekend. So we went from the Mastermind group straight to Florida. My husband's been doing a lot of work on the boat. So I said, I'm just going to just sit and read and enjoy myself. And I got in this book, and I was just amazed. It was just a different way of thinking, I guess, from what I had been brought up thinking. And, the gratitude and the influence that we do, how many people we touch just on a daily basis, just in the grocery store. I mean, it's just all those things.
Influence as in being a leader?
That too. but all the way from just when you smile at somebody, how much that can change that person. You don't know what that person's going through in that one time. Yeah. Right then, you could make an influence on just that little bit of thing. But it can be a good influence or a bad influence that we can do. So when we talk to people, what comes out of our mouth, how we treat people, all people, then just think about how that trickles into different realms and how much can be affected from just one thing. We don't think about just our one things all the time. It's always like, oh, it's a big thing that has to affect them, but not really. I see that a lot in my practice too with the patients. I feel like when they come in and they could be kind of rude sometimes to the girls in the front, and I'll say, guys, it's not about y'all. And I sit down with them and I'll just say, how's it going today? And if somebody says, it's okay, and if I can sit and what's really going on, and they get it out and talk about it, then it makes it a whole lot better. Like I said, we're kind of psychiatrists and psychologists at the same time, which I like.
Yeah. Hairdressers,
yes.
For being good at that.
Yes.
Some of them.
Yep, they know all of the stuff.
So you think this book, The Gift of Influence, has had an impact on your business?
I hope so. I would hope so. I do feel like, I think for a while, it got busy, and I didn't spend as much time thinking about those little things. Like, that person said this in the front, there's probably something going on. Let me sit for just 2 extra minutes and figure this out. And then don't just pass it by. Like, okay, well, they're here for a dentist appointment. I'm sure they don't want to talk about it. I'll just do my work. They probably just need to leave early. Let's just get them in and out quickly. It changed that perception to more like, what you say at this appointment may make a big difference. Even if the person comes in happy, what you say at this appointment and what you say in front of the patient or to the patient, how you say it to the patient can make a big difference in their life. And so you just don't want to be that person that has that influence, a negative influence in any kind of way.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to say, to digest that and make sure that you're saying something that's impactful. Mm-hmm.
I think more for my team, it made an even bigger difference. My patients, I feel like I'm always very compassionate. And thankfully, one of my little guys today said the same thing. He's like, you got so much compassion. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Can you write it down so I can read it every day? Like, remember, Aimee, you have this. But I'm such a softie. But with the team, sometimes you can get frustrated. And it's not really, it's the same thing. It may not be that I'm frustrated at them. I'm frustrated in the situation. But then how I react to them or speak to them could come across as being ugly or mad at you. And it's been a thing, I feel like over the years we've kind of talked about this. Like, they'll laugh and they'll say, oh, we knew you were mad when, or something. Yeah. I'm like, really? I could tell? Yeah. And sometimes you just get caught in your own situation and you don't think about who else and what else is around you and affecting you.
On one of your podcasts, you talked about, I can't remember what the subject of the podcast was, but you mentioned that male dentists have the highest suicide rate of occupations, I guess.
Yeah, of all of them.
And females like the fourth highest female dentists. So, what's going on there?
I think it's always been that way. When we heard about it in dental school 25 years ago, that it was like that. But I feel like it's just the fact people walk in and they say, oh, I hate the dentist. And if you cannot compartmentalize that with just they don't hate me, they hate being at the dentist, even though they say, I hate the dentist to your face. Yeah. You just have to get over that part. And that was a big part of the smile spot for me was like, well, I'm going to make you like the dentist. So I swear, I'm going to change your mind. So I think that's a lot of it. But if you don't, and you don't feel like you're giving them what they want, or then they complain about it. I mean, I think over years, you can let things just pile up. Like anybody can in any job. Yeah. You can let things happen in life in general. You can let things pile up. So people go to therapy for it, talk to your husband about it, scream in the yard, go to church. A lot of different ways you can deal with it. But if you don't deal with those things, then it is going to eventually eat you up. And I feel like dentists have more of those things that hit us in different places and at different times, and sometimes a lot at one time. Yeah. And you've got to have some way to deal with it, or,
Yeah, I think your compassion is probably the strength of your business, really, which you don't like people saying, I hate dentists. I think what they're saying is, I hate dental procedures.
Yes, dentistry.
I don't hate you.
Right.
But you want them to enjoy the dental process.
As much as they can. I mean, I've had lots of dental work done. I know it's not great, but I just put the nitrous on and I go around my business and I'm, good to go.
Yeah.
So I've never had a lot of work done when I was younger. I chewed a lot of bubble gum. But I never had a bad experience. So I try to be also empathetic to them that, okay, I wasn't in your shoes as far as like having a bad experience, but I've had all your experiences. Mine just ended up being good and not bad.
Yeah.
So now I just want to change it. I want you to see that there are some good experiences, and this is how it can be. But it takes quite a few of those before they really will start to calm down.
But also that continually growing and learning and expanding the services, I think it's all rooted in compassion, which is, I think your patient was spot on today.
He was great.
So how do you stay in shape?
Dance usually.
So you still dance?
Yeah, I used to do triathlons. That was crazy. I don't know how I even had time to do all that, but yes, I do still dance now, which is the most fun.
So how do you do that? What?
So there are there's two big things in town. One in Ascension Parish, one in Baton Rouge. Dancing for Big Buddy and Dancing for a Cause. Those two are kind of like Dancing for the Stars, Dance with the Stars. Show where you have a star who is like a local person who's going to raise money here in town, that you raise money for the cause, and then you dance with a professional.
Right.
So in 2014 was the first time I did it and fell in love with it because I never danced with a person before, those kind of dances. It was more just a single thing. So fell in love with that, asked to come back 2 or 3 years, and then finally won the one in Ascension in 18, I think. And then was asked to come back as a professional. So I've been dancing as the professional.
No way.
I know, so impressive. Like when I got my first check, I was so excited. I'm like, Mom, I did get paid to dance. All those years of dancing paid off. It's like $500. It's like, it's the best check ever. So yeah, so now I get to do it professionally. I'm excited.
That's very cool. So I saw a video of you dancing in Big Buddy, but you were a guest in that, right?
Was I? I don't know.
Yeah,
it depends which.
You're with a male dancer, and right? I
think he was the professional. Was that black and red on? Yeah, that might be my first one in 2014.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yep.
So it looked like y'all had fun doing it.
It's super fun. It really is great.
Look, I'm super impressed with your business, and it's really fascinating to see someone pour as much energy into like really being disruptive and creating something new and different. And I go to the dentist twice a year, and to see all the different things that you offer in your practice is really, really fascinating. So thanks for doing that, and thanks for coming in and sharing your stories with us.
Thanks you. Thanks for asking.
Yes, indeed. We would like to thank our title sponsor, B1 Bank. They can be found online at b1bank.com. The Next Entrepreneur is produced by Propel Productions. You can find more information at propelyourstory.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Next Entrepreneur podcast and hit the bell for notifications. You can also follow us on social media. The links are in the description below.